Good evening, everyone. My name is Heinesh Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. I will be subbing in for Reverend Jones today while he is out in Miami handling business and creating more opportunities for us in Chicago. Speaking of us youth in Chicago, we believe that we are the solution to the issues in our community. Our theme is Nothing With Us, Without Us. Fathers Who Care is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. Also, Fathers Who Care is a community-based social service initiative that was organized and developed by Fathers Who Care, just like yourselves, in an effort to indigent and committed fathers throughout the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. Fathers Who Care's goal is to dispense needed information and network with our committed and concerned citizens, such as yourself and your significant others, and how you all, as parents, can best serve your families and communities, while also networking with other entities on building resources to assist in the empowerment of fathers and their families throughout the state of Illinois. Basically saying that we understand that being parents can be hard, and also trying to have a social life and being able to network and have different opportunities while also trying to be a parent. And since it's new to everybody else, Fathers Who Care is a way for you to balance all of that out, giving you different resources and opportunities, helping you meet new people so that you can have these opportunities and these resources while also being a parent, and you don't have to deal with everything alone. Fathers Who Care is here to help. The objective at Fathers Who Care is to dispel the many negative myths about fathers and the lives of their children, particularly about men who may be currently financially challenged and unable to afford many of the resources needed in rearing and stabilizing their families, while also building a support system for men that are all actively involved in the lives of their children and their pre- and or post-significant others. We know about the stereotype that men have and the fathers have on the lives of their children, and Fathers Who Care is here to break that stereotype down and help fathers feel more like, give them a bigger role in their child's lives instead of feeling like they have to have material things to be a good father, because that's not all it is about. It's about the support that you show to the child. Again, everyone, my name is Heinesh Malone, and I'm the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council, filling in for Reverend Jones, Executive Director of Fathers Who Care. We invite people from all over to come in and see what we are all about, especially young people, because we mostly serve the youth. Although we do work with fathers, West Garfield Park Youth Council, we serve the youth and have youth council meetings every Thursday from 4 to 5:30 or 6, depending on what we're talking about and what's going on. And that's what we mostly do. So our show will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Even though next week we'll start our actual show, the West Garfield Park Youth Council, where we dive into conversation with youth opinions. So basically how we feel about things that go in the community, what the youth are up to right now, and how we feel like it could be better and what we can do to improve it. We would like to encourage calls from people watching to leave their questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that website is www.cantv.org/live. Everyone, I would love to introduce my guest for today. This is Lieutenant Daniel Allen, who is the Lieutenant of the 11th District. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. Thanks. Yeah, thank you again, Anisha, for the warm welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Daniel Allen. I'm currently employed with the Chicago Police Department as a lieutenant, but also have two non-for-profits, Divine Purpose Youth Performing Arts, where my wife, and Victoria Allen, and myself are the founders, as well as Chicago Cultural Performing Arts Media Alliance.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant, for being a guest on tonight's show.
Thank you.
Again, everyone, my name is Heinesh Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You are watching a live interactive call-in television program brought to you on CAN-TV 21. During the next 25 minutes, we're going to discuss bridging the gap between law enforcement and our community. We know how toxic the gap between the police and police and law enforcement in the community has gotten since COVID, when it was the big riots and stuff like that. And basically, we just want to bridge those gaps because it's always good to have support and have people in your corner and not just have like a bad and negative just this negative stereotype about all police officers because they aren't all the same, and anybody in law enforcement. We invite our viewers to call in with your questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open. So today's topic again is bridging the gap between law enforcement and our community. And now I have a few questions for you, Lieutenant.
Let's go.
Tell our audience who Daniel Allen is and what is your purpose for existing.
Oh, wow. What a question.
Yeah, it's a deep, loaded question.
It is. Well, okay, like I said, my name is Daniel Allen. Who am I? I'm a man of God. Let's start there. My mother raised a single mother, born and raised on the west side of Chicago, North Lawndale on 16th Street. My sister is my only other sibling that I have, my older sister. And I'm just a west side resident. Like I said, a Chicago Police Lieutenant. I'm a founder of 2 non-for-profit organizations, and I'm just a man that just loves community. That's who I am.
Yes, I know that's right.
Yeah.
We all love community, y'all.
Yes.
So this evening, we are here to discuss how we can challenge more young people to become more active in community organizing and civic engagement via bridging the intergenerational gaps and reducing senseless violence, underage drinking, and substance abuse on the west side of Chicago. So, Lieutenant, can you tell us more about your music accomplishments and plans?
Yeah, so music is my deep passion. I think a lot of people don't know how passionate I am about music because I got into law enforcement. So they just made the assumption that music is something I just like to toy with. It's not a toy. It's really, if it was up to me, it'd be my livelihood. So one of the things that I've done recently, push and rewind, my music history comes from church. Being a youth singer at Christ Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church under Reverend Milton Bronson, and sung with some great music leaders and directors. I went to Northern Illinois University, where my music confidence really took off because I was given opportunities to lead, playing drums, tapping on the piano, and singing and directing. And now currently I'm a songwriter, producer. I just released a song last year called Change Belongs to You. It was played on Pandora,
nice.
all over the place. So Change Belongs to You was a song given to me because so many people feel hopeless. So this song really just represents how change belongs to you. So one of the things I want to do in the winter months is write more songs and produce more younger talent. That's really what I do under my production team, is producing young people. That's what I really love to do. And I sing in church. I'm a praise and worship leader. That's my music. That's my music
amazing.
background. Yeah.
Because I know that it's a lot of young people who really, they're really passionate about music.
Yeah.
But a lot of people make them feel like to be a rapper, they have to it's just this weird stereotype about becoming a rapper, and they feel like you're not gonna make it. That's like 1 in a million.
Yeah.
And they don't really believe in them. So for you to be actually pouring into these young artists who actually want to produce music, that's amazing, because they always feel like, okay, well, I'm just gonna push this to the side and stick to something that's more secure, being a doctor. Being a doctor, or trying to go to college, or just go getting a job so that you could have secure money instead of trying to actually pursue your passion and go make music and let that be your life, because there's just so many doubts. And it's like, if they surrounded by all those doubts and negativity and zero support, then 9 out of 10 they're just gonna fall out of that passion and they'll never become who they were supposed to be.
And it's a great point that you made. And that's a brilliant point that you just made. So one thing that I try to get young people to understand, me and my team, is that everybody's not necessarily meant to be an artist. You could be a part of music, business, and production, and lighting, and sound. There's a million things you can do in the music industry and make it your career. It doesn't have to be artistry, not necessarily. You could be just a writer. Writers, believe it or not, make most of the money because they get all the royalties. So it's a million things you could do in music. If you're really serious about it, you can go get certification, online certifications, Columbia University. It's a lot of things you can do in music.
Columbia here or in
Yeah, Columbia here. Yeah, right downtown.
Nice.
Awesome school.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So how can we, as community stakeholders, bridge the gaps between the police and the community?
think the easiest way that the community can bridge the gap between police and community is really just relationship, conversation.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as just having conversation with each other. When an officer is out of his vehicle, they out of their vehicle, and a community person walking up to the officer and just speaking to them and talking to them. Don't get intimidated by the uniform. Don't get intimidated by the body-worn camera officers wear. And vice versa for the officers. When officers are patrolling the street, when they see somebody out cutting the grass, whether they're a younger person, middle-aged, older person, get out their vehicles and just talk to them. Having just normal conversation like we're doing right now is like the number one way that we could build relationships with one another.
I agree. I feel like if it's not so much tension, and it's not always to police officers, it's not always just work. It's a like they could have a chance where they like come out of their shell and they just talk to each other, and they talk not each other like amongst the police officers, but as in like the community. I feel like it's too much tension and too much miscommunication between the two, because like they have their, like the community has their input about what police officers do, and then if other police officers hear that, they'll be like, that's crazy. But it's like nobody, like they don't talk to each other. And then just like we're talking about getting everybody out to these communities, what we'll get into, nobody goes to these events where it's like the police officer talking and letting you have an input and have a say in what's going on and what more we want. Because I remember we went to an event and like it was a lot of youth talking about like what we want to change. Like we don't want all these police officers just standing around looking like intimidating.
Yes, right.
Just all like like no type of like no emotion ever. It's just always serious. So then when you see them, it's always intimidating because like you don't want to go up to somebody that looks like that. One, you already have on the uniform, and the uniform is already pretty intimidating. Right. So then if you have on the uniform, plus you being super serious and stuff like that, and you're not really initiating conversation or interacting in conversation, then it's like, oh, like they just don't want to talk to us, and it feel like we in two different worlds when really we all live in the same way. Like,
Amen.
It's nothing separating us but a job title, and I feel like we should all be talking to each other and like listen to what each other got to say, because like the community will never get better if we always separate it. Oh, police officers, the community, then it's communities within the community, like school communities and like neighborhood communities. So if we all like deem ourselves as separated in a way and not like as one, then it'll always be like, this area, they put more into this area than they do our area. It's because we don't really promote ourselves as much all together. We only promote what we want to promote. So I feel like we all just have to like talk to each other so it could be a better understanding amongst like everybody, and it's no like miscommunication. Everything could go like smoothly. But like right now, that's why I feel like it's like not really put together or like organized all the way.
Yeah, because there is no they versus us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It is us together. And as the new superintendent who just spoke yesterday at City Hall said, you know, we have to do this thing together. The police officers do have mandatory training that we have to take every year, which talks about, it's a class that talks about ways of understanding the social norms of the different communities that you may police. You know, if it's not something, a community that you're used to understand the nature of people. Using Westsiders as an example, Westsiders love to hang out. That's just what we do. We just love to hang out on the street. It doesn't mean we're doing something bad. It just means we just like to hang out. And some police may rate that as loitering, but it's not loitering. It's just people just love to kick it.
Yeah,
they like to kick it.
And then I feel like if it's their community, I feel like they should be able to do that. If they live in these areas, I feel like they should be able to go out in these areas and go out and just have fun and all sit outside together. If we all locked up in the house, we'll never create a community without getting to actually know each other. And it's like you don't want to take everybody and put them all in your house to try to get to know them. Everybody's outside, and they all gonna talk to each other, and they all gonna be outside interacting with each other. And that's how community and relationships are made, because they go out and they make them. You can't really just call it loitering to be like sitting outside talking to the people in your community, because then it's like, if you never do that, then you'll never know nobody. Then everything is still separated, because then it'll be a separation of, okay, I stay in my house, you stay in yours.
Yeah, and we don't need that.
We don't need that.
People don't know their neighbors nowadays.
That's very true. I don't even know my neighbors, honestly. And I feel like, and that's not good, but I feel like it's my fault, and it's our fault for not trying to get to know them. But then at the same time, it's like, I don't know what it is with us, but like we don't really like trying to like go like talk to other people because we don't want to feel like we bothering nobody.
Yeah, intruding.
Yeah, so we just keep to ourselves and be like, if we see him, good morning. Like me and my little brother, we do that all the time. Like we leaving after school, if we see like neighbors or something, like we'll say good morning and stuff like that, but never like try to initiate conversation because we don't want to feel like we pushing nobody boundaries. Because like, what if they don't really want to talk? So I feel like that's the thing as well. People don't really know whether somebody wants to talk or not, and they always have that mindset, so they never talk, so they never create relationships within the community, so the community get broken up into now it's each house for themselves when it should be everybody.
But just piggybacking on what you said, I know we got to move on, but one of the things that we really need to take advantage of is the community meetings that the police department have, such as community conversations that every district is doing right now, and then as well as the community beat meetings that every district in the city of Chicago has. If people attend these, and these beat meetings, some for the most part are not well attended, so people need to call their community, their cap sergeants in that district and just say, hey, what's going on?
Right.
And each cap sergeant will let the community member know all the good things that the police department and across the nation are doing. And that's how you can go to different meetings and interact with police officers more. That'd be a great way of doing it.
Yes. Also, I think it's a police like that going on at my school right now.
It is. Community conversation at your school?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's at my school. Like, as soon as I was leaving the school, like, it was like a lot of officers, and I was actually supposed to attend it, but I had to come do the show tonight. Yeah. And it was like the students have to go in there. We just have to ask the officers like different questions. So that's what they over there doing right now. And I feel like that's just a great way for them to like voice their opinion. And I feel like the students at my school, they're really like vocal about how they feel. Not everyone, because everybody's different, but like some of the students that they have at the what is it? The
community conversation.
Yeah, the community conversation. I feel like they are very like vocal on how they feel and what they want to change and what they want to see. So I feel like it'll be a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell our audience, why are you so passionate in being a lieutenant for the city of Chicago?
I think the reason that I'm passionate about being in leadership as a lieutenant is because I'm a little older now, so I get to actually be influential to younger police officers. I'm already a staple in the community for the most part in West Garfield, Austin, I know a lot of people. I established a lot of relationships. But now my role, as I'm exiting out of the police department, my role, as I see it, is to help younger officers understand the importance of being a professional police officer, being professional to community members and establishing a relationship with the community members, as well as establishing great communication and leadership, and so they can grow into leadership roles as well, so that these younger police officers are going to be our leaders. You're going to see them with the white shirts on, right? And being approachable. So teaching them these skills, these valuable skills, I think is one of the things that I love about being a lieutenant, because I get to have a voice. That's
amazing. Yeah. So what are the issues and concerns that are negatively impacting our community, and what can we do about them?
I think one of the biggest issues in our communities is of course, the violence. Violence and narcotics selling. My background in law enforcement, before I got into community policing, was working narcotics, working TAC, working gangs. I worked in those units where we made a lot of arrests, and we really looked for people that was really terrorizing the community for the most part. And I think the biggest issues is the violence, and we have to figure out a way that we can control the violence by providing resources for people. So there's a systemic issue with violence in our black and brown neighborhoods. When I say systemic, I mean there's problems that have been taking place for the last 50, 60 years. We're talking about people that's underserved. And then you got to get to the bottom and the root of the problem. Why are they underserved, and how can we fix that? And that's what spikes the violence.
So why should we motivate more young people to become police officers and advocate for social change in their communities?
Ooh, yeah. So I consider myself an ambassador for the Chicago Police Department, which means I recruit. Everywhere I go, I was just talking to her, I was like, hey, are you interested in becoming a police? And she was like, I don't know. So everywhere I go, I talk to younger people about becoming the police, because in order for us to make change within law enforcement, we need officers that's black and brown officers. I'm not negating white officers. Anybody that want to be the police that has a heart for community. But if we can get people that look like us, as they say, to be the police, will make that will be the change. That will be the change. And my motivating factor is I tell them the benefits of being a police. It's not a bad paying job. They get to pay you. They pay your college tuition, reimburse you for school. You get these duty availability checks, uniform allowances, and you just get to meet a lot of great people like I'm working with you today. So there's a different benefits that comes along with being a police. And the biggest thing though is if you dissatisfied with the way policing looks, become the police and make the change.
And make a change, okay. And I agree also with the having it to be police officers that look like you. It's not really separating like the black and brown officers from the white officers, because both of them are like, they both do their job well, both sides. But it's like when you have like the black and brown officers come to like motivate them, they just feel, because it's like they more connected, so they have the same experiences as each other. Every culture has their own experiences and the different way that they were raised in like the different environments. So it's like those officers will understand. I'm not saying that it's not white officers that don't understand, because it's definitely white people who here in Chicago who could experience the same things as us. So it's basically just experience, but it's like they would navigate to the black officers because they would think, okay, they know what I'm going through. But it could also be white officers that know as well. But basically just people that understand where they're coming from, and when they actually talk to them, they actually know and they'll actually listen to them instead of trying to like deflect from what they saying and making them feel like they like wrong for feeling like that or something like that. Just people that'll listen and actually try to like make a change for them, knowing that they have the power to do so.
Absolutely.
So how can we identify and address the mental health and or substance abuse needs among our young people?
I think that question is, it's a tough question, but I will say this. Mental health and substance abuse both are tied into households.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're a younger person, you have parents. And if you identify your parents and your cousins and your siblings as using narcotics, narcotic use, especially heavy narcotic use, leads to mental health disorder, because what it does, it causes an imbalance that causes that individual to create havoc in the community. It causes them to do acts that they really wouldn't do if it wasn't for the uses of substance abuse.
Exactly.
So we have a lot of great resources in the community. All on the west side, I can name 2 or 3 off the top of my head. You know, Rehabilitative Systems and Bobby Wright. We got some great mental health organizations, but we have to utilize it. So the only way our young people is going to realize that they have it, first of all, they need people to share with them, hey, I'm not saying that you have mental health or that you're using the word crazy. No, you're not that. It's just that you're struggling with something because you're keeping going in and out of jail, or you're in school and you're causing problems at school, you're getting kicked out of school. So let's identify the problem. So mental health is, I think a lot of us suffer from mental health. I mean, even as a leader for myself, it's times that I tell my wife, I just need to take a breath and I just need to sit down and just maybe talk to somebody. You know, mental health is a wide array of things that could take place with you mentally. You know, it can lead to burnout, can lead to mental health. So I think if we can get our young people to take advantage of the resources that we have in the community, whether we bring in a resource into the schools and that we identifying the household parents, leaderships, and letting the parents know, I think we have these resources for you, please take advantage of it. How do we get these parents to take advantage of it for their children? That's the $1 million question, but we're working on that.
But you're working on it,
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also identifying like where the root of like the substance abuse is, because I also learned like I found the root, and then also I learned in psychology that when you're under 25 and you start to use drugs, I learned that your brain developed from the back to the front, and the front part of the brain is where a lot of your like that's where like I don't know how to explain it because I just learned it, but like when you start to use drugs and it messes with like the cells in your brain and stuff, it starts to like stunt the growth, and then it starts to
I get
impact the part that is where it's processing it.
And it makes
interrupts
sense.
it, yeah.
It interrupts. There you go.
Yeah, it interrupts it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So then you start to act out, and then since your brain is underdeveloped and the front isn't, you already make risky choices just
As
because.
it is, right.
Yeah, just because you're young. So it's like
Right.
a lot of the stuff you do isn't your fault, but then once you use those drugs, it also impacts it, and then it makes it, it kind of makes it worse. So that's why we try to promote like not using it. We don't say that it's like, we don't really want to like, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's for the betterment of you. Like we don't do it to like we don't promote it to try to be like, oh, stop using drugs. That's so like we just want the best for you. Like we don't want your brain to like for it to not like process all the way, because
Exactly.
that's where your full potential is gonna come from. Your brain fully developing, you being able to reach your full potential, and we don't want that to get stunted in any type of
And
way.
that's where the mental health comes in at, right?
Exactly, right there. So I'm sorry we're running out of time. So can you give some closing and encouraging remarks to our viewers?
I will say this. Chicago Police Department has some wonderful things. Go to Chicago Police website, citychicago.org. Divine Purpose, my organization, Divine Purpose Youth Performing Arts Center, is geared towards identifying young people that want to get into arts instead of being involved with negative actions such as gang violence.
Yeah.
Chicago Cultural Arts Alliance, the same thing, is geared towards adults and youth. So if anybody wants to contact me about somebody getting into performing arts, somebody want to get into law enforcement, to understand you could be a cop and still be cool.
Yeah.
You could be a man of
Exactly.
God, you could be a woman of God, and still be cool.
Yep. All the time.
That's it.
So if you are just tuning in, our guest tonight on the show is Lieutenant Daniel Allen, and we were discussing bridging the gap between law enforcement and our community. We would like to thank our viewers for watching. For additional information about Fathers Who Care and or the West Garfield Park Youth Council, please contact us at 773-287-5821. Again, that number is 773-287-5821, and ask for Miss Princess or Miss Vernisha. And I want to thank everyone for watching us this evening, and tune in next week at the same time, same station, but just a different crew, which is the West Garfield Park Youth Council. Next week, we will be starting our West Garfield Park Youth Council segment. And good night to everybody. See you next week.
Thank you, guys.